Could taking a selfie get you thrown off your cruise ship? What some passengers thought were innocent activities actually got them thrown off, banned, or worse. Here are 5 real-life examples of passengers who were recently banned for life. And wait until you hear number 5. It's the craziest one of all, because this guy didn't just get banned, he actually fought back in court and won. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. I have been on a lot of cruise ships, and I've never seen anything like this happen, nor have I been on a ship that had to rescue a passenger from the water. But a 27-year-old male passenger on a Royal Caribbean ship was trying to get a video of himself that would go viral on social media, and he actually climbed over the 11th deck of the ship and jumped right into the ocean. Now, I'm not really sure what this guy was thinking, because jumping from that kind of height into water of any kind is gonna feel like concrete. And he actually broke his tailbone and had some major injuries from this. But he seemed more than happy to be doing it. The ship happened to be at port at the time, and he was rescued by a small boat and immediately removed from the ship and banned from the cruise line for life. This is an extreme example, but cruise lines do take the safety of their passengers very seriously. And whether you're doing harm to somebody else or to yourself, they're going to get involved and probably ban you from the cruise line. And it makes sense, because they don't want to allow something that's potentially dangerous that then feeds into a frenzy of other people copycatting that behavior or activity. Because the way social media works these days, once somebody does some crazy stunt, there's going to be hundreds of other people trying to pull that same thing, and cruise lines just can't have that. But this guy wasn't the only passenger trying to make it big on social media with a crazy stunt. Everybody's trying to take selfies these days, and on many cruise ships I've been on, I see it all over the place. Even some pretty interesting twists and poses. I've seen people leaning halfway over the railing and wondering if they're going to go a bit too far. Well, this next passenger absolutely did. She was on Allure of the Seas, another Royal Caribbean ship, and she wanted to get a selfie out on the ledge. She actually climbed over her balcony railing and onto a little ledge that was on the edge of the ship, and walked a little bit away from the balcony trying to get a viral picture. Other passengers actually noticed this and were scared to death for her. They reported it, and immediately she was removed from the ship at the next port and banned for life. And the problem here is not only about copycats. If cruise lines allow this kind of crazy stuff and something happens to that passenger, they're gonna be liable. And not only that, it's gonna mess up the entire works of that cruise, because they're gonna have a rescue on their hands, potentially an emergency evacuation, because likely the person will be severely injured, if not killed from the fall. And while there's cameras and people everywhere on these ships, it's not a guarantee that you'll even be seen if you try a stunt like this and happen to fall off. The ship might pass you right by. Do you think it's a good idea that cruise lines have a zero tolerance for this kind of behavior, or should people be able to be as self-destructive as they want? Let me know in the comments below, and wait until you hear what happened to this next passenger. If you've been on a number of cruises, you've undoubtedly seen some passengers do some pretty interesting things out on their balcony. But this one doesn't strike me as an automatic removal and ban from the cruise line. However, that's what happened to this passenger. So a guy was having his wife film him fishing off of his balcony while the ship was at a port of call. He actually dropped his line all the way down into the water, and he actually caught an interesting fish. And he reels it right up over the balcony and shows it for the camera and all of social media to see. This passenger and his wife thought it was a pretty harmless activity, and I could see why they might think that, but from the cruise line's point of view, it's actually quite dangerous. I mean, if you're dangling a fishing hook over the edge of your balcony Anything could happen. It could fly into somebody else's balcony, not suspecting anything, hit somebody or even a child right in their face or their eye. And not only that, but after this guy caught the fish, it was clear on the video that as he was reeling it up, that fish was swaying back and forth against the ship and even getting into other people's balconies. And you can hear the wife saying on the video, "Oh, sorry, sorry." So, I mean, they knew there was some kind of issue at that point, albeit it was probably too late. Once the cruise line got wind of this activity, they quickly banned these passengers for life. If you have any crazy stories of something you've seen happen on a cruise ship balcony or over the edge of one, let me know in the comments below. I know a lot of people with rather interesting senses of humor that like to pull innocent pranks from time to time, but if you think an innocent prank can't get you kicked off a cruise ship, you're dead wrong. This next group of people pulled a man overboard prank. They shouted "man overboard" as a joke, but it triggered the emergency system. The ship actually turned around and Coast Guard was alerted to look for this man overboard. Cruise lines take this kind of thing very seriously because it's not just a prank, it's actually messing with their entire safety system. And it can delay resources, say from the Coast Guard, from helping actual people who are in need, and it wastes time and money for the cruise line. It's similar to not shouting bomb or gun at an airport or something of that nature, which can get you into trouble. And with something like this, if you actually make a false claim that triggers a major emergency response on a cruise ship, you can not only be hit with massive fines, but you could even have criminal charges brought to you. And if you think that that's bad, wait until you hear the insane thing this last passenger did. But first, if you found any of these stories interesting so far, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. It helps us grow and continue to bring you cruising content. I've been on a number of cruises and seen my fair share of inebriated passengers. And this next guy, he takes the cake. So this was a German passenger on a cruise ship, had a bit too much to drink, and decided right in the middle of the Lido deck to urinate in his empty beer glass. I guess he couldn't hold it for the bathroom? Well, of course, loads of people saw this, and he was immediately removed from the ship at the next port and banned from the cruise line for life. But the story doesn't end there. It just gets more interesting. Now, I don't know if this guy was a litigator or just had too much time on his hands, but he actually took the cruise line to court and argued that the behavior was not explicitly prohibited by the cruise line in their rules. And the court found in his favor, overturned the cruise line's ban. It sounds too crazy to be true, but this guy actually won the case, proving that if you know the rules well enough, you might be able to get away with a few things. But be careful, because due to actions from passengers like this, cruise lines just keep adding more and more rules. I guess they're kind of forced into it. Now, I realize that these are some pretty extreme examples, but there are a lot more rules these days that cruise lines are implementing because of certain passengers' behavior, and they can affect how we cruise. I'll tell you all about those right here.